Unions have a particular reputation, especially here in South Carolina, which bills itself as a right-to-work state. Unions in this early era tended to advocate arbitration rather than strikes and labor unrest. Arbitration is essentially negotiation through a third party, so you'd have labor leaders on one side and the management and business owner on the other, and there'd be a third party that would hear both arguments and they'd come to an agreement. That was the preferred tactic of unions. Oftentimes, unions are tied with strikes, tied into this idea of a strike or refusing to work. Early unions actually opposed strikes because they saw them as counterproductive. And oftentimes what are known as wildcat walkouts or non-union sponsored strikes would happen, and they'd be blamed on unions by the management as a way to discredit the unions. Typically, these wildcat walkouts were a response to layoffs or wage cuts, and they were sort of a spontaneous uprising of the worker. Typically, this would occur during a depression era or a depression phase in the economy, and the problem with that is that there is a high amount of surplus unskilled labor also looking for work. The management would use that unskilled labor in order to break the strike or decrease the effectiveness of the strike. So unions wanted arbitration. They didn't want labor unrest and strikes. They needed to be working. They wanted to be working, but oftentimes were blamed for a lot of the labor unrest.